I'm terrible at endings because I always start a sentence and see where it will end. And it usually never ends where I think it will end. Alrighty then. Well. Also, I apologize. It's very possible that you will be hearing yard work being done in the outside world. That is unfortunate that it is happening during nap time, because this is the only time that I am able to record. But we will excuse them because we're just chatting here. Hey everyone, it's Anne. Today, let's talk about the 5-star books from January. I've got 2 of them for you. One, I was expecting it to be 5 stars. I just didn't realize like how much it was going to ruin me. And then the second one, completely out of left field. So I want to talk about them today. And if you enjoy this video, then at the end, if you could like it, that'd be awesome. All right. So pulling up my handy dandy story graph, in January, I read 10 books for a total of 3,894 pages. That's a lot of pages, and honestly, that's a lot of books, but it totally makes sense because I do this every January. I'm trying to clear out my current reads from last year. All I end up doing is collecting a whole bunch of books from like various places like Bookstagram and Booktube. I get started on them and then I realize, wow, they're really good. And I go on a bender with like 1 or 2 authors. So that, okay. I'm not really upset though, because I do feel like they were pretty good books. There was only one that it was a debut author. I feel like, that's the best way to describe it. It was a debut author. It read like a debut author. It's making me so angry thinking about it. So we're just gonna move on from that one. But most of the books, except for that one, I at least enjoyed. But there were 2 that got 5 stars. So those 2, let's talk about them. Should I talk about them in order? Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So the first book I don't have physically, but I am really considering getting. It is What Lies Beyond the Veil by Harper L. Woods in her Of Flesh and Bone series. This book is a fantasy romance, and I think I just saw it on Kindle Unlimited, read the description, and thought, wow, okay, like, let's start reading it. I think I started late December, during that phase where you're like, man, do I really want to start anything new? I don't know. Well, this sounds good. So I started it. My first thoughts when I was like up to when the veil falls, because that's on the back. So that happens. Up to when the veil falls, I was like, wow, this is dark. A lot darker than like other fantasy romance. Okay. Like I'm chugging along. I'm getting this. By the end of the book, I had to look up, okay, does she have any more books? And she does, but only this series. She is a debut author. Harper Woods is a debut author from 2022. And wow. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There are, if I get nitpicky about it, there are certain things that I'm like, smooth this over a little bit. Like, man, I don't know. In general, this was impressive. Impressive as a debut fantasy romance, particularly since fantasy romance right now, it's probably just the circles that I'm in. But do you guys feel as though it's like having a moment? Or is that just me? Let me know. I feel like it is having a moment where everybody is recognizing like, wow, this is really good. I'm hoping it means that they will transition into, oh, let's also discover like what's good about fantasy, not just fantasy romance, but we'll take it as we can get it. So this one, okay. I thought that throughout this book, I thought that the female main character read well. Sometimes with fantasy romance, they can get a little bit whiny, which I think comes from the romance side of things. I did not find her to be whiny. I found her to be where it's like, well, yeah, that's understandable that you would have that trauma. Like, okay. I thought that the main male character, I thought that he read well. It wasn't creepy, which is one of the things with the book that I did not enjoy. I thought that, like, it's almost like two sides of the same coin. In What Lies Beyond the Veil, I thought that the main male character came off as strong and stubborn, you could say, where he was like, I will take care of you and like, I love you, that kind of thing, to where you're like, okay, you literally just met her, but like romance, all right. And then in the book that I did not enjoy, it was the same thing where he's like, I love you, we just met, but it came off as like, are you going to wear her skin or what? I don't know if I should be calling the cops for this girl or what is happening. So Harper Woods, she did a much better job of that kind of like alpha male, but still allowing the female main character, Estrella, letting her lead. So that was, oh my gosh, getting angry. She did a much better job with that. I am currently in the second one of the series. It's a different feel. I'm just going to give you, spoiler alert, it's a different feel. It makes sense, but I'm going to wait until the end to make a call on if I feel like she's kind of, like she had a really strong entrance and maybe the second one, a little bit of fumbling. I'm not sure yet. The third one comes out in March. I'm pretty stoked about it, but I got to finish the second one first. I finished this one, just to explain, I finished this one on January 2nd. So this was one of those books that I start and I finish in like 48 hours. Yikes. On the flip side of that, the second book that I rated as a 5-star for January, A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I mean, like, I feel as though no words need to explain this, unless if you don't like Sarah J. Maas, like, okay, valid, all right. For those of you who have read this and you like Sarah J. Maas, no words are needed. What I will say, this is the third in the series, okay? So with it being the third in the series, be sure to start with A Court of Thorns and Roses, go to A Court of Mist and Fury, and then A Court of Wings and Ruin. What might cause you to put down this book is that the political intrigues, it's not like the sexy side of political intrigues where it's like, ooh, who in the court is doing this and blah, blah, blah. It's like the, hey, we are going to war and we need to figure out where these troops are going to go. That's the political intrigue. So that may make it where you potentially put down the book. Totally fine. I finished this on January 14th. I technically started in June. A lot of life stuff happened in between then, and that's why I put it down. But once I picked it back up, shoot, it was, oh my gosh. I was like crying in my bed, trying not to wake up my baby that was in the room, because that ending, oh man, that ending ruined. Yeah, that makes sense. The thing that I love about Sarah J. Maas is that, number one, she does world building well, where something that I've learned from her as a writer is to apply your world building as the character would pay attention to it. So it's like, if in the situation the character is going to battle, okay, then you need to pay attention to why should this character care about there being a whole bunch of high places versus the low places? Why should they care about there being a swamp? Why should they care about blah, blah, blah? That made it where the world building came across as like, yes, you're painting all of this, but you're also giving me a reason to care about whatever you're talking about. It's not just info dumping this information. I also felt as though she does a very good job of, it's not so much character descriptions, but that's probably the best way to say what I'm trying to say. With the character descriptions, it's where she, you know, it's not the typical, like, I look in a mirror and I see my green eyes and my brown hair. Yes, that does happen, but it's like, it's woven throughout. But she also very specifically has it where certain physical or, you know, inner motivations, she like harps on, so that you focus on that with the character. And I feel as though instead of having it where it's just like, here's a bunch of information about this character, it's where that actually creates a better image of the character. Having it where I know Reese has like violet eyes, I guess. He has violet eyes. Okay, that's something, but having it where it's like he also cares about his people, it's almost where it's like, that makes it where it paints a better picture than just, it's where I don't need to know every detail about how they physically look. I feel as though she picks it to where it's like, here are the main physical and emotional attributes that you need to know. And I think that's also how she does redemption arcs really well. So we'll see. I honestly, how Wings and Ruin ended, a Tamlin redemption arc, I'm not totally against. Even like an Eris redemption arc, I don't know. That one may be a little bit, like, honestly, actually harder for me to comprehend than a Tamlin redemption arc, but we'll see. I still have 2 more books to finish in the series for now. And then, you know, I'm going to be rereading Crescent City and doing that whole series on like why House of Sky and Breath probably was your least favorite Sarah J. Maas book, but that's for a different video. So, one thing I will say though about like the physical attributes that you harp on, but I will say after a while, the whole like wingspan, it did start to make me chuckle a little bit, where it's like, I get it. I really do get it. But yeah. So those are my 2 books that got 5 stars. What Lies Beyond the Veil by Harper L. Woods and A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. If you guys have read either one of those, tell me what you thought about them. Comment and just tell me general thoughts. Did you enjoy them? Did you hate them? Just let me know. Let's talk. So with this being said, January, that's my January wrap up. I read 10 books. 2 of them were 5 stars, which is like, I was shocked about that, but hey, there's been crazier things. How am I doing? Reading challenges. Okay, I need to update the 52 books in 52 weeks prompts, because I'm certain I have some that are in there. I probably also need to be more intentional about which books I'm picking to read that fit in there, because some of those prompts I really would not choose to read on my own. So I should probably do that. And then my personal TBR, still haven't finished any of the planned ones. Whoops. But this month I know I'll be finishing a lot. I've been making progress in a few of them. So it's just where it's like, it's a matter of time before I finish. And yeah, so there's that. So that's January. I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.